With a new spring comes a new team. I'm Cody West with What's New with MSU Football.
New security procedures. I'm Chris Scott. Find out how the city of Starkville is planning to combat crime.
Smile, you're on camera. You may want to take a look up and around next time you're out in Starkville. Welcome to Take 30 News. I'm Megan Terry.
And I'm Maggie Thomas. Take 30's Chris Scott joins us live in the studio to tell us why Starkville leaders are installing more cameras downtown. Chris?
People behind this say it's about two things: helping them solve crime and making people feel safe. The Cotton District has long been a center for attraction among Starkville residents. Police say what people won't know is that it is also a crime magnet. So the city bought 10 of these. This is the view from one of them. The camera expansion is a partnership between Starkville Police and City Hall. Joe Clements is the city's Information Technology Director.
If an incident occurs, then we can easily, if we have a camera in that area, we can easily pull that video footage and identify suspects, identify vehicles. It's a very powerful investigative tool that the police department can utilize.
Sergeant Brandon Lovelady with the Starkville Police says the new cameras will be used to deter crime, provide evidence if a crime does occur, and assist in special events by monitoring crowds. He says special events are the only time these cameras will actively monitor, meaning most days they will just record and be played back when absolutely necessary.
If something happens to you or your residents, you would really like a camera at the intersection down the street from your house, providing more evidence to law enforcement.
City officials informed me that the camera expansion will include 10 cameras, just like this one, and that the total cost of the project will be $60,000. Clement says the camera's expansion will be an improvement to the old security system. Whereas previous cameras relied on cellular technology, the new security measure will rely on a hardware connection. Max South, a local cable company, provided and leased the camera units for about $1,200 a month. Each individual unit includes a weatherproof camera and its enclosure.
We just want everyone to feel safe when they come to our town.
Sergeant Lovelady said the camera expansion is currently in its initial phase and will continue expanding through the next 5 years. Maggie?
Thanks, Chris. For a complete list of where the cameras are located, visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Take30NewsMSU.
It was a disease considered eliminated from the United States in 2000.
2019 is seeing a rise in measles outbreaks. Take 30's Casey Cox explains why.
The CDC says there are 206 reported measles cases this year. There are outbreaks in 11 states. The CDC classifies an outbreak as 3 or more cases in a local area. The CDC recommends that parents make sure they get an MMR vaccine for their child because children are so susceptible to the measles virus. According to the Mayo Clinic, measles used to be quite common in the United States. Measles still kills over 100,000 people a year, most of them children. Measles, mumps, and rubella vaccinations are usually administered as the combination MMR vaccine.
Mississippi is actually less susceptible to a measles outbreak than a lot of other states. We don't have a whole lot of foreign travel that comes in and out, which lessens the possibility of having more measles outbreaks. Also, this is one of 3 states that has that doesn't allow a religious exemption.
Mississippi, West Virginia, and California are the only 3 states that do not allow for religious or philosophical exemptions from vaccines. Mississippi also has a higher vaccination rate, which is slightly higher than the national average at almost 92%. I'm Casey Cox for Take 30 News.
For more information on vaccinations and disease prevention, you can find it at cdc.gov. The reporter reached out to the Oktibbeha County Hospital and the Oktibbeha County Health Department for more detailed information, but they did not return his phone calls. Well, police say that a local man stole from his employer 1 month and then burglarized the business the next month. On Monday, Starkville police arrested 35-year-old Terrell Ward of Starkville for 2 felonies, embezzlement in January and commercial burglary in February. Police say both incidents occurred at Curo Candles in downtown Starkville. Police ask that if you have any information on this or any other crime, contact the Golden Triangle Crime Stoppers at 1-800-530-7151. A campaign for the legalization of medical marijuana in Mississippi has come to Starkville. Take 30's Chase Reese has the details.
You may have noticed activists on the Mississippi State campus and around Starkville asking for signatures in support of legalizing medical marijuana in Mississippi. These activists are part of a statewide campaign attempting to gain 86,000 signatures in support of legalizing medical marijuana by September. If they are successful, an amendment to the Mississippi Constitution allowing medical marijuana will be put on the ballot in Mississippi in November of 2020.
I'm standing just outside the Covard Student Union on the drill field. This is one of the most heavily trafficked parts of campus during the day, and it is where I met Cannon Davenport, one of the activists asking people to sign the petition in support of medical marijuana.
I think that it would be very beneficial for a lot of people in the state of Mississippi. I think that there are a lot of medical issues going on that our current methods of treating aren't really doing that.
Davenport said that he was hired by the Grassroots Community Headquarters, a lobbying organization that is working with Mississippians for Compassionate Care on the Medical Marijuana 2020 campaign. According to the Medical Marijuana 2020 website, the amendment would give physicians the ability to prescribe medical marijuana to patients with debilitating conditions such as cancer, Parkinson's disease, PTSD, HIV, AIDS, and Crohn's disease, among others. The website also states that medical marijuana is a safe alternative to opioids. With Take 30 News, I'm Chase Reese.
Commercial Dispatch reported on Sunday that groups in Columbus were working to assess damage from the tornado that came through the city on February 23rd. This information was needed to send to Governor Phil Bryant, who could ask President Donald Trump to declare a state of emergency and trigger funding from the Federal Emergency Management Agency. However, this cannot be done until the 45 Mississippi counties that experienced flooding also assess the damage done in their areas. It was also reported that Columbus Light and Water has restored electricity in Columbus, and they will next be working to restore street lights. Now let's take a look at the current weather conditions in Starkville. That overcast weather is continuing into the afternoon, but no rain is expected for today, and the temperature is currently in the mid-50s. The weather update is brought to you by MSU Campus Connect. Later in the show, we'll hear from WCBI's Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson, who had to take cover in a basement when a tornado touched down while he was on air. We'll also have tips on how to stay safe if another tornado hits. You're watching Take 30 News.
Take 30 News is the only student-powered television news program at Mississippi State.
We've got the latest weather report.
We go far and wide to tell you the stories you need to hear from your campus. From parking.
Parking spots are becoming more and more scarce.
To sports.
Also, the opening of the new Polk DeWitt Stadium.
To how to stay healthy.
It is supposed to lessen your symptoms.
Take 30 News is the news you need, wrapped in maroon and white.
It's March and spring break is around the corner for Mississippi State and other universities across the country. Yesterday, Mississippi State University's Department of Health Promotion and Wellness held the Luau for Safe Spring Break in the Union's Doghouse. This event reminded and taught students safety alternatives, habits, and procedures as students get ready to leave for spring break. Julie Baker from Health Promotion and Wellness shared some of the lessons that students learned.
Things that often some of the activities that happen on spring break, some of the behaviors can be risk-taking behaviors. So, such as alcohol, we taught them positive ways that if they are going to consume alcohol, they could do it safely. With sun safety, making sure they're aware of sun safety, travel safety tips, then also sexual health and body image, just things that they can have some healthier alternatives as they go out on spring break next week.
If you have any questions about health or spring break, go to Health Promotion and Wellness at Mississippi State University Facebook page. Rick's Cafe is making the switch to sustainable resources. The local bar is making the change by introducing new biodegradable straws, cups, and to-go boxes. Owner Rick Welch is an animal lover who wanted to help the pollution issue occurring in our oceans, especially with plastic. These new products break down in sunlight, making them more eco-friendly than plastic. Along with being good for the environment, the new products are trendy and fit the theme of the bar.
Well, this year, plastic has been in the news a lot, and like I was saying earlier, Rick's an animal lover, and I don't know exactly what video or what news story got to him, but he knows that plastic and styrofoam is bad for the environment, and he doesn't want his plastic ending up in the ocean.
Rick says he hopes other businesses in Starkville will follow their lead and make the switch to more sustainable products.
A piano recital was performed by Mississippi State music professor Dr. Rosangela Seba on the Turner A. Wingo Auditorium Monday night. Dr. Seba has been playing piano for over 40 years. She says that she dedicated the performance to her late father. The recital was free to the public and was part of the music department's requirement for its faculty to show their students how to perform live by demonstration.
It's not easy. For me to play 1 hour of music, I probably practice over 100 hours. In fact, I sense the reaction of the crowd every time I'm on stage. Sometimes you can hear them, sometimes you don't hear anything, which is also good. So yes, we sense the crowd very well when we are on stage.
It was an emotional moment for Dr. Seba as she was surprised with a gift from the parents of Keon Dosher, a former student of hers that had passed away in 2014. Coming up, we have the weather forecast for the upcoming week, and we'll take a look at what it caused last week. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Let's check the weather coming our way. This weekend is bringing some relief from the cold weather just in time for spring break, with a high of 67 tomorrow, 71 on Saturday, and 69 on Sunday. Be prepared for rain showers though, with a 60% chance tomorrow and 90% chance on Saturday. Next week the sun will be out and that warm weather will continue with a high of 60 on Monday, 66 on Tuesday, and 72 on Wednesday. However, the rain will be back on Wednesday with a 70% chance of showers. This weather update is brought to you by MSU Campus Connect. At least 20 tornadoes touched down across the region last weekend. The National Weather Service says storm systems spun off tornadoes in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. The most powerful twister was an EF4 with 170 mile-per-hour winds that's been blamed for at least 23 deaths in Lee County, Alabama. The National Weather Service says that tornado crossed into western Georgia and traveled about 70 miles total. WVTM says the number of confirmed tornadoes could increase as survey teams are still on the ground. President Donald Trump says he'll visit Alabama on Friday and that he's been in regular touch with the governors of Alabama and Georgia. The tornado that hit Sunday was the nation's deadliest in nearly 6 years.
Last night, the Latin Student Association held its 4th annual Noche Latina event. The LSA provided free food from different Latin cultures that was prepared by LSA members. The event also had a dance lesson where students learned different forms of Latin dancing. The LSA president spoke about what he hoped students would also learn from the Latin culture.
The year is pretty much a celebration of all the Latin cultures being represented in the student body of Mississippi State. There is, even though a small Latin community, that there is a Latin community here at Mississippi State, and ultimately want them to learn about different Latin cultures. A Latino can be very different depending from what country they're from, and so we want them to know that we're not all from Mexico, we're not all from Puerto Rico. It's a large span of Latin countries.
After this break, we'll bring you the latest on MSU sports. You're watching Take 30 News.
Take 30 News is the only student-powered television news program at Mississippi State.
We've got the latest weather report.
We go far and wide to tell you the stories you need to hear from your campus. From parking.
Parking spots are becoming more and more scarce.
To sports.
Also, the opening of the new Polk DeMint Stadium.
To how to stay healthy.
It is supposed to lessen your symptoms.
Take 30 News is the news you need, wrapped in maroon and white.
The spring season may be around the corner, but spring football has already arrived here at Mississippi State.
A new football team is on its way. Take 30's Cody West tells us about the new Bulldogs taking the field.
Many of the big names you knew are now gone, but some new ones have begun to take their place. This is spring football, and with this spring season comes some easier tasks as well as some challenges. Brock Delaney has seen this happen time and time again over his 20-plus years as MSU's head video coordinator.
Because last year we had a first-year head coach, so we were learning a brand new system, brand new terminology, everything. So this will be the second spring we've got to go through with Coach Moorhead. So should be better for everyone from players, coaches, down to our video kids.
Delaney says that the program has another challenge to face this spring in replacing former starting quarterback Nick Fitzgerald and former starting running back Aries Williams. Delaney says this is a challenge that the Bulldogs are more than willing and able to face if they wish to continue the success that they've had the past few seasons, and they will do it on this field. Many of these new players vary from freshmen all the way to juniors or even seniors, something that the staff is prepared to deal with.
Those guys are expected to play, and so, we have to make sure they have everything from our end, make sure they are getting all the video they need to be studying their playbooks, things of that nature.
Much of the studying and planning Brock mentioned will take place over the next few weeks. The Bulldogs will also begin to make decisions over who will take over the big roles left open when a number of former players finish their time with the program. The highlight of the holes left open being the quarterback position, one that Brock Delaney says Keaton Thompson will be given the initial go-ahead to try and show why he should be the Bulldogs starter. I'm Cody West with Take 30 News.
Spring football continues for the next few weeks with the MSU Maroon vs. White game being played on Saturday, April 13th at 1 p.m. The Bulldogs kick off their regular season in New Orleans on August 31st against Louisiana Lafayette. The MSU men's basketball team returned home after the road loss against Tennessee. This Saturday, the men's team will be pit against Texas A&M University at Humphrey Coliseum at 1 p.m. with a win that could potentially put the Bulldogs at number 4 in the SEC. Ticket prices will be $20. The game will be broadcast on ESPN or ESPN2. You also can follow the MSU men's Bulldogs through Twitter and Facebook.
The Oktibbeha County Emergency Management Agency has a new tool at its disposal after receiving a retired transit bus from Mississippi State University. An MSU spokesperson said that the 20-year-old bus will be converted into a mobile emergency management vehicle. This bus will expand emergency response capabilities by providing a place where personnel can work outside of the elements and access communication in the field. The Emergency Management Agency plans on equipping the bus with modern technologies, including wireless internet, so that responders can work in the field without having to go back into the office. The 1996 model bus is part of the original bus fleet acquired by MSU Parking and Transit Services.
I'm Cash Matlock, and coming up, we're talking with Keith Gibson, Chief Meteorologist at WCBI, about the devastating tornado that tore through the city of Columbus and what he says you should know before severe weather strikes again. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Cash Matlock. Over the past few weeks, the whole southeastern region of the United States has just been pummeled with severe weather. This past weekend, we had a major tornado in Lee County, Alabama that actually claimed the lives of 23 individuals. And then the week before that, a devastating EF4 tornado tore through Columbus, Mississippi, claiming the life of one. I'm joined now by Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson from WCBI. Keith, how have you been holding up over these past few weeks?
Well, it's been pretty active. We had the tornado in Columbus right down the street from the TV station, so that really kept us on our toes. Right. But it's been pretty busy, and we still have several more systems that could be coming our way over the next week or so.
Okay, and we were talking earlier, and you're saying not just this weekend, but the next week after that. I mean, when are we going to, expect to see this to end? Is this common for...
Well, It's spring. We're getting into spring. Let's say by June, by summer, all the storms hopefully will be done. But between now and mid-May, things will really start to ramp on up. We're not even into our prime severe weather season. That's in April.
Wow. So all of this, and we're still, like you said, not even in the prime.
Right.
Now, we were talking earlier, and you said that there were over 30 tornadoes that have been confirmed to have touched down in Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia.
Yeah, from this past weekend's event, not Mississippi, but we had Alabama, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, over 30 at least, and they're still tabulating some of that.
Right, and then you said that the main tornado was the Lee County tornado, and did the other ones kind of spiral out of that, or?
Well, there were actually two strong tornadoes, like literally about a mile apart, within the same hour that affected that same county. So imagine two strong, violent tornadoes, one of which was extremely devastating fatality-wise, but there was another one following it up, just as strong or almost as strong. Those were the two strongest ones, but just the whole setup in general just gave rise to a lot of storms and tornadoes.
Okay. Now, just going to rewind back to the week before last week, the Columbus tornado.
Yes.
Now, that one you were actually, broadcasting live, and I remember you were on and you said to everyone that was watching, you said, now we're going to bail to the basement. And we actually have a clip of that, and I think we're about to roll it here. And it's just, I think it's really, really fascinating to just see, how close that came to the actual station. So we'll actually roll that clip now and take a look at that.
Sure. We're going to leave this up, and let's just go.
All right. Wow. So can you just kind of walk me through what was going through your mind in that moment whenever you...
Funny story, driving into work that day, I was actually practicing what I would say in case we got into some sort of tornado situation on television. And lo and behold, 5 hours later we had it. You just have to be prepared. We saw the tornado start to spin down with our sky cam, so we sent everybody down to the basement, literally 3 blocks away from the thing.
Right.
So we're very close. Thankfully, we dodged it, but you just always have to be prepared. Even us in TV, we practice what we preach. We say, find your basement, your storm shelter, and that's what we did.
Right. And, you were talking about always be prepared. I want to bring up a point that I think is really kind of crucial to today's generation. Kids today, or maybe not even kids, but people in their 20s and even in their 30s, I feel like they're very, very reliant on their smartphones, and they think that in a severe weather situation, they don't have to watch TV, they don't have to listen to those little battery-operated radios, that they can just get all the information they need from their smartphone. Is that a good idea, or is that dangerous?
Never rely on one source. Your phones are great, technology is fantastic, but you still need a weather radio. If you're on satellite television, you need a digital antenna because you may have a big, huge storm get over your satellite dish and you can't get the signal. You basically need 3 ways at least to get warning information. That's what we say, at least 3 ways. Okay, I got you.
Well, I want to talk about Columbus again and kind of backtrack there. Now, whenever you went out after the newscast, wherever, we sent the reporters out and everything, were you expecting there to be that much damage? Because, I mean, it was a lot of damage. I've personally been in the area and seen it all, and I think we actually have drone footage of it, and you can kind of see the aerial footage of just how severe this was. Can you kind of describe that to me?
Well, we were looking at it from a radar perspective, and we saw this thing that's called a debris ball on radar. So the radar can pick up whatever the tornado picks up and puts into the air, the radar will see it. So we could see that it would change colors on our screen. So we knew it was doing some damage, but like you said, until you go out there and see exactly what it did, it's hard to tell, but yeah, it was pretty devastating in some spots. But just put things in perspective, it could always be worse. I mean, that was an F3. There's still an F4, an EF5 that could happen. The ones in Alabama were EF4. So Louisville a couple of years ago was an EF4. So, it was bad, but it could always be worse.
So I'm glad you mentioned the Louisville thing. It seems like tornadoes kind of follow similar patterns, because I know Columbus has actually been hit. This isn't the first time for Columbus.
It is not.
So do you see that trend a lot in your line of work, do you see kind of tornadoes like every so often?
If you look at the whole state of Mississippi, there are over 2,000 tornadoes that have been recorded going back to 1950 or to the 1800s, let's say. So every county's been affected. It's just a matter of time, let's just say.
Yeah.
No area is safe from a tornado here.
Wow. Well, Keith, we want to thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day, because I know this is a busy
time of year
for you. So
I squeezed you in.
Yeah, you did. So please, come back, and if there's anything else you ever feel like talking about, we'd love to have you on again. But thank you again for taking time out to come and talk to us about this. I feel like it's really important, especially for kids today, 20-year-olds today. Everybody really needs to know the importance of severe weather.
Just stay weather aware.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take 30 News is the only student-powered television news program at Mississippi State.
We've got the latest weather report.
We go far and wide to tell you the stories you need to hear from your campus. From parking.
Parking spots are becoming more and more scarce.
To sports.
Also, the opening of the new Polk DeMint Stadium.
To how to stay healthy.
It is supposed to lessen your symptoms.
Take 30 News is the news you need, wrapped in maroon and white.
Well, that's all the time that we have for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Megan Terry.
And I'm Maggie Thomas. We're off next week for spring break, but we'll be back with more live news on March 20th. Have a good night.